be top of the agenda this morning. So let's get into it. The new Minister of Aviation has unveiled the roadmap for aviation industry, and there are some talking points. Some of them we've been used to it over and over again, especially the first point here, talking about aeropolice and all of other issues. So help us unpack it for a while now.
Yeah, so there's an ongoing Africa Aviation Summit in Abuja. I think kicked off yesterday. I think it continues today or wraps up today. And they've been talking about a whole range of aviation issues. The issues that have been plaguing Africa with respect to the aviation sector is how fragmented it is, and the issues with travel and how it affects business. So for instance, the Deputy Minister for Aviation in South Africa, he was speaking to, he granted an interview where he said that he had to fly from South Africa to Europe to fly back to Abuja, right? So he was saying that, well, you know, this is an example of the issues that we face in the continent. We need more direct flights and so on and so forth. For Festus Keyamo, who I have to say, you know, whose appointment as Minister of Aviation surprised me, because I don't really know much about his experience in that area. And, you know, you could have made an Alan Oyema of Air Peace, the minister. You could have made, you know, Chief Okoronkwo of it's United Airlines. He could have been a minister. There's so many experienced people in the sector that you want there. But be that as it may, he's repeated this Aeropolis thing, or Aerotropolis, or however you call it, which is supposed to be business activity surrounded by an airport surrounded by business activities. So I've talked so many times about how Jos in Plateau State has like strawberries, but there are no cargo airports to ship them out and export them. So the whole idea of an Aerotropolis is to have a hub where an airport is the center of all business activities, so you can ship stuff out quickly. The challenges they've had in Nigeria is that they've talked about demolishing certain buildings to make space for it. Maybe they want to have one in Lagos. So it's something that the last administration talked about, the last minister talked about. They never got it off. Yeah, Sirika. They never got it off the ground. So that's one. He also talked about FX challenges and the FX that is trapped here. Airlines not being able to get their money out. Etihad, Emirates is part of that thing, but then they have a separate deal with the president. So we'll see how that works out. But he said something about the CBN having quarterly meetings or something with aviation players and allocating FX. But where is the FX? If the FX was there, you would have allocated it. The thing is scarce. And it links back to our low oil production and the fact that we're not producing enough oil. So why are you going to get the FX? Even the CBN doesn't, there's issues with the reserves and how much they are. The CBN has its own obligations. What else? He now talked about
maintenance.
Yeah, so that whole maintenance thing is a big thing because planes have to go out of the country to, it's like doing maintenance on your car, on your vehicle, where you have to send it to the mechanic to check the oil, everything, the engines and so on. But they're being done overseas and they cost a lot of money because it's foreign exchange. You have to pay to do that.
Yes.
So they want to do that here, but then to do it here, you've got to have the proper facilities, the technology, the expertise. There's a safety, safety requirements. You know that okay, if the maintenance of the plane is going to be done here, it has to be done properly and meet all the standards. What else did he talk about? He talked about air leasing.
Leasing.
Yeah, so planes are expensive, and I mean they cost billions of, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can lease. So you should be able to lease an aircraft, use it for a period of time, pay it off or something. But to do that, you've got to, it's almost like our mortgages or leasing cars or financing vehicles. you've got to have a liquid market that has the money to absorb that kind of thing. And we don't have that yet. So it's still going to come down to, he says he wants, he wanted to give tax breaks, make it attractive for people to come here and set up a leasing facility. I mean, for you to have a leasing facility for aircraft, you've got to actually be able to manufacture the aircraft here. You've got to have a base, like Brazil, right? Brazil has aviation manufacturing capabilities. As long, the US has it, Europe has it. So, it's going to be tough to tell somebody to bring their planes here to lease them when you don't have a pipeline of manufacturing the planes themselves here. You kind of have to have some type of connection, in my view. So all these things he's talking about, I mean, he went to the summit, he had to make a speech, and he said this, that, and the third, but I have to tell you, I'm not really encouraged, man. I'm not encouraged at all.
I can't miss out the auxiliary verb there. He had to make a speech. So it's more like it's a routine. So he must say something when he gets there. So that it will take a lot to convince a Rotus that we can pull through some of these things he's talked about. But I'm happy that he was in the room when the conversation with the UAE was had. I saw the visuals that came out. He was in the room. So does this speak of commitment to helping these foreign airlines repatriate some of their trapped funds here from what he has talked about now?
Yeah, it does. It's encouraging, but Omas, at the end of the day, you need the money. See, look at all this talk, deals, shaking hands, taking pictures, and so on. It's all well and good, but at the end of the day, you need to put up the money. And the fact of the matter is that Nigeria's oil production, we're not even, look, OPEC put out a report. It was yesterday or the day before. Our quota is 1.6 or 1.7 million barrels per day. And they put our August production at 1.1. For the second quarter of this year, that is, April, May, June, our production was 1.2, right? Historically, Nigeria has done 2.1 million barrels per day. We're just not making, look, oil, by the way, is at $92 now. Oil is climbing. We're not able to profit off of that or take advantage of it because our own people are stealing our oil, vandalizing pipelines. If you've got to make money and bring in dollars to be able to say that, okay, I can settle the amount of money I'm owing to airlines that keep flying here and can't get their dollars out. This thing is there's nothing complicated here. It's very straightforward. You need to make money to be able to give money to people that you owe, right? Or who can't get their money out. And that's just, so it's all linked. So yeah, it was, sounds good, but
I recall
it's an issue.
I recall the days I recall the days of Hadi Sirika, how he explained the Metropolis fact thing he talked about, how you don't even need to step out of the airport for you to do certain things. It's a city of its own, a life of its own when you need to do certain things. And I mentioned places like Singapore and other places that have been able to pull that off. So
yes, Singapore is very easy to mention. Singapore, I know. Yes, and Sydney, Australia.
Yes.
By the way, you mentioned Hadi Sirika. That's anytime I think about Hadi Sirika now, I think about Nigeria Air. Yeah. Yes. And by the way, Festus Keyamo said that has now been put on hold. Yes. So they put Nigeria Air on hold because they want to investigate a few other things. So my thing now is you're talking about an Aerotropolis and Singapore. Those folks they were intentional about the infrastructure and about dedicating money to be able to build those things. We have just been talking, and it hasn't happened. It takes a significant amount of money to build out a hub that is dedicated to aviation and dedicated. Plus, you have to have stuff you want to export. You've got to have the planes that will be ready, cargo planes that will be flying. It's not cheap. And so you have to make sure that the investment you are making in that particular structure can pay for itself So you've put the money in, you've built the infrastructure, the planes are carrying cargo and exporting things, you're bringing money in. The money that you bring in can now finance that hub and its expand. So it's not something you pay lip service to. You've really got to put the act, you've got to act and
do the work. What are we likely to gain if we don't touch on the FX has been a central part of the aviation discussion thus far. So let's get into what the CBN is saying, that BDCs ask CBN to increase its minimum capital of 350 million naira. Could you touch on these and then get into what it's looking like in the black market?
Yeah. So the BDCs are saying that they should increase the amount of capital, minimum capital for them to operate. They're basically saying that they want to reduce the amount of BDCs that are operating by basically increasing what it would take to basically be licensed and to participate in the marketplace. So they want to reduce the amount. I don't, it's presently is 30, is it 3.5 or 35 million? No, it's 35 million. It's 35 million now. That is your minimum capital requirements, but they want to increase it to 350 million. So basically raising the barrier to entry in order to reduce the amount of BDCs. I don't see how that's I don't know how that solves anything. You're basically trying to reduce the amount of people that can. So if you and me can hustle and find 35 million now, you and I can become a BDC tomorrow. So they want to increase that bar. Does that increase FX liquidity? Does that improve? If anything, I actually support keeping it at 35 million, maybe even lowering it. Let them flood BDCs everywhere so we can. My own is just to increase the channels to get FX. Okay, real quick. I know I almost had. We're out of time. We're already out of time.
Will you touch it tomorrow? Probably just briefly when we come back for Tech Edition tomorrow.
Okay, well, 2 seconds. I tried to deposit a bill yesterday, $100 bill. It had a small tear. The bank refused to take it from me in my dorm account. I took it to the black market and I switched it. They took it from me and gave me a fresh bill. So the black market is liquidity. That's just the quick point I wanted to make.
Okay, that takes us to attending to the clients waiting now while we've been having this conversation. Yinka Bolu comes by this morning saying there are 3 types of people in the world. We have the blacks, we have the whites, and we have the Nigerians. Now, with the exception of finance, health, and the judiciary, any appointment of a so-called technocrat in Nigeria is a scam and sometimes ends up being a fatal political error. And he mentions a name, Professor Bath Naji is a classical example. Those are the words of Yinka Bolu. Then comes Cisco Delgado. It says, Rotus, I wonder why your name didn't appear in the... I was going to say Rotus for minutes, but it took the words off my mouth now. Why your name didn't appear in the ministerial list. You have all it takes to position Nigeria for economic development. Cisco Delgado is vouching for you already.
I like the private sector. The private sector has less headache.
And our final message comes in from Emeka from Ikeja. We maintain aircrafts at overseas and we refine our oil overseas. What exactly do we do for ourselves to conserve this scarce reserve? This is just how it sums it up. But since Cisco Delgado's put you up for nomination now, Yinka Bolu is against your nomination. It's a Rotus minister. It's everyday fights. That's it. Oh, Rotus. Okay, so we're looking forward to the Tech Edition on Friday tomorrow.
Yes, Omas, thank you so much. Thanks to everybody out there with their messages. I'll catch you guys. Take it easy.
Have a great day. Bye. And that's a wrap on Business Express on Smooth 98.1 FM. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning. Critical focus on the Nigerian economy.